Retail and hospitality is changing, with often complex and fragmented systems combined with large volumes of customer data for businesses to make sense of. It's critical to work with the right partners in order to guarantee success. At Tratec Consulting, we help retail and hospitality businesses transform their technology, removing overly bloated processes and creating unified and efficient systems of working throughout. So don't just take our word for it. See for yourself. Tratec Consulting, the leaders in technology transformation across retail and hospitality.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the All Things Borough podcast. I'm Alan. As usual, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done one. Simon, how are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Sounds like you're on slow-mo there with the way you were talking.
I forgot what I was supposed to do. I forgot to do. We were talking about it off air. I've actually forgot to do it. So this episode is actually sponsored by Tratec Consulting. Tratec takes your business visions and turns them into innovative reality. There you go, done it.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Simon?
Yeah, a professional, polished performance there.
As usual.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, happy days, yeah. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you very much. I had a nice, easy day at work. I'm up in Nottingham this week. I'm going to be up here for about 3 months on a trial, so lucky me.
Yeah, that's good.
So, yeah, it's not a guns and drugs one this time. It's all about fraud.
Are you allowed to disclose what?
No, can't say any more than that. It's about fraud. Can't give any names away either. No.
Well,
yeah.
So the season's over. We're probably going to do an end of season review next week. Hopefully, we'll try and get a member of the coaching team on.
There could be a very special member of the coaching team, possibly. But I have done some digging and pleading and grovelling. So hopefully,
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
It will.
But as it's end of season for us, it's also end of the season for a lot of other clubs, including the club that our guest is part of, Matt Josie, otherwise known as Mattitude on YouTube. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be here tonight and obviously talk about the journey we've been on. Obviously, get involved with you guys as well about Farnborough.
Yeah, how's your day been today?
Pretty.
And the weekend as a whole.
The weekend was awful, obviously for us, losing to Sholing. We didn't expect it. I thought we'd actually come out with at least a point, but we just about managed to start, which is the main thing. And now we just prepare for next season. Well,
you've got to thank our former striker Michael Felivi for your defeat.
He's a quality player. Scored 2 goals against us Saturday, and he scored all 4 goals against us in the reverse fixtures. So
I remember that. Yeah,
6 goals in 2 games against us isn't too bad, is it?
Yeah. So unfortunately for Michael,
his goal was. If anyone hasn't seen it, his goal is actually doing the rounds on social media. His first goal is the overhead kick. That was something special. That.
Yeah, it was like my TikTok video that's got I think 17,000 views now. Just doing quite well.
Yeah, you got to thank for that £2 check they're going to send you. No, happy days.
Yeah, exactly. TikTok. I'm not making money from TikTok yet.
You're not. Yeah, he says. Yeah, I like it. You're optimistic. I like that.
I will, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah, unfortunately with Michael, he didn't shine too well at Farnborough. I think he forgot his scoring boots, and the manager did say he's a bit. I'm going to choose my words carefully because I don't want to upset him or get on Spencer's bad books. But he shall we say he was a bit lazy. Yeah, motivation was a problem.
I think injuries played a bit of a part in his time with us.
Yeah, he has got an injury checkered career. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't consistently fit all the time.
That's true.
He's a great striker. He's doing really well at that level for Sholing. And long may that continue for him into next season if he's still with them. But look, Matt, let's start with you. I mean, how long have you been supporting Bracknell, and how did you get into doing all the YouTube vlogging stuff, and how did that link in with the club?
It's quite a long story. It all started about just 3 or 4 years ago now. I grew up in Basingstoke. My granny used to take me to the Camrose back in the early 2000s, late 2000s, sorry, in the early 2010s. I wasn't into non-league at that point. I was more into like the Premier League, the EFL, or the Football League as it was called back then. I lost interest in football, was into a motorsport called banger racing for quite a few years, got involved heavily in that. And then I started watching #United online on their YouTube channel. I wasn't keen on the idea initially of hashtag. I thought, it's a team that doesn't represent a geographical location. But because there's entering non-league, I thought, yeah, it's quite an interesting journey. So I started watching the first two seasons. I watched them week in, week out on YouTube. And then one weekend, I decided with Gemma, hashtag we're playing friendly at Basingstoke. So we'll go and watch them. And yeah, I loved it. So we went back to Basingstoke a few more times for a year and a half, actually. Constantly, I just fell in love with non-league. Get to know the players, the management, the owners. You just get truly involved with it. Unfortunately, I didn't. I had a few falling outs with some fans there. A very small minority of Basingstoke fans. Should I have dealt with it better? I could have done, definitely. So yes, it's my buoyed club. However, I got on well with the Bracknell fans, and they sort of said, "Yeah, come and follow us." But the YouTube side of it, it sort of goes hand in hand. Obviously, I've got into non-league, and I've always enjoyed making videos. I used to do it in the banger racing space quite a lot when I was a kid. So I thought, yeah, I'll have a go at making non-league football vlogs, following the team that I follow week in, week out, plus ground hopping whenever is possible when my club's not playing. But yeah, the thing was with Basingstoke, it's very unfortunate. I wish I dealt with it a little bit better now. However, I'm very happy at Bracknell. It's a great club. I always get on with the fans. It's a growing club as well. It's very exciting for us. I know we've had a terrible season overall, but we are on the up. But yeah, it's a club. I feel really part of it. And yeah, there's nowhere else I'd rather be, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you bang on actually, Matt, about what you said about non-league. You kind of do get more involved with the club, and you get to meet the people, meet the players, and it's something that we've me and Aaron have found over the last, certainly for the last few years, doing podcasting for the club and interviewing players, and you do get to meet them, and there's a really good bond between players and fans. I think
Yeah,
at the
the
level.
players love the YouTube videos. I know that for a fact. They absolutely love the videos, and so does Kane, the owner we got now, the previous owner Andy. They'll love it and appreciate it. So yeah, it's great that obviously I get to do that, and I'm lucky that a lot of non-league football vloggers, they just film from the fan perspective, which is what I do anyway. But I've got that. Luckily for me, I've got permission to go on the pitch. For the warm-ups. Not many non-league vloggers have
Mm.
that
Yeah,
opportunity.
no, exactly.
I'm sort of a hybrid. A lot of non-league vloggers just follow their team as a fan, which I do, but I also get behind the scenes access if I want it. So I've also got that sort of little bit there which can help me. So it's quite good that I've got that.
Yeah, it's something that
Sounds like the club has really sort of
was gonna
taken
agree.
you on and taken you in and
Yeah,
accepted
I
you
do
sort
some
of as
bits
one of their own.
recently. I was doing the post-game interviews with John Underwood for the season. I've done bits on Twitter, Facebook. Unfortunately, because of what I do on YouTube, I don't have much spare time to do it. But we're gonna have a meeting over the summer about the social media side of things, and hopefully, I can still be involved. It'll be very little involvement, but at least it'll be something officially a little bit I can help out with. And that's on top of obviously the YouTube videos I make.
Yeah, what's going on to that? You mentioned obviously John Underwood. Obviously, as people don't know, he was in charge at Bracknell. He came in sort of just after the season started, didn't he? After Jordan Ibe had left,
Yeah.
and then he took the club on up until about a month ago, isn't it? And then obviously there's a change of chairman as well. Just can you just go into a little bit of details about people maybe people who don't know what's been happening at Bracknell over the last sort of 6 weeks or so, and the season as a whole, really?
Well, the season as a whole, I wouldn't say 6 weeks. It's been the season's been a chaotic season, to say the least. We had obviously a management change. I think it was 2 years ago now. Obviously, we went from Dodds and Withers to Jordan Ive. So the start of this season, Kane was our previous owner. He sold the club to Andy Hunt. Jordan Ive stayed on. We had a decent start to the league campaign. Got knocked out of the FA Cup, the first hurdle, which was disappointing to league below South Park. And then before you know it, end of September come around, and suddenly Jordan Ive left. Jordan Esbury left. Whilst our players were leaving, it was pandemonium what was going on. Um, and then we hired John Underwood, who obviously is an experienced manager, very well respected. Got us off to a good start under his reign. We was, I think, 13 games unbeaten when he first joined us. But unfortunately, since the turn of the new year, we only won, I think it was like 3 games since January. It's been abysmal for us on the pitch. It's been terrible. Then, of course, suddenly with the revelation 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now that Kane and the SB Group retook control of the club. Andy Hunt was leaving as chairman and CEO, and that John Underwood and the management team were going to go with Andy Hunt, leave as well. And former fan favourite manager Bobby Wilkinson come back.
Mm.
He was a fan favourite. Very excited to see him back, but unfortunately, that didn't get off to a good start. We lost all 4 league games under him. We won the Bucks and Bucks Cup. That was a bit of hope for us, but we didn't do well in the league. But I was happy to see him stay for next season. But then we found out last Tuesday that Bobby had left the club. They both parted company, and that Jordan Ive, another former Bracknell manager, fan favourite, had returned. So yeah, it's been a mental couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, people maybe at our level. Bobby was manager at Bracknell, wasn't he, for a few years, and he got 2 promotions with him,
Yes,
didn't he?
he
And he
got
should.
he got the club promoted from the South Central Isthmian League to the league we're in now, on a record points tally, I think, and I think it was like 13 goals conceded all season, which is incredible. Went to Weymouth, kept them up, did his job there. I think I'm not too sure what happened at the end there. I mean, Hemel was very interesting because he was top of the table, wasn't he, with Hemel for quite some time.
For quite a while.
But Bobby told me that he lost 13 first team players. So make
Yeah,
that.
so we I don't know if you remember, Simon, but we actually spoke to him, didn't we? After the game when we drew
Yeah.
3-3 with them. And
Yeah.
he said then at that point when they were top of the table, then we drew 3-3, and he said that then that he was missing quite a lot of players with injuries. And then after that, they just plummeted.
I mean, everyone's got their
Keep winning
opinion.
games.
Is that an excuse? But obviously, to lose 13 players is a hell of a lot of players to lose. So
Yeah.
I felt bad for him that all happened. But the fact he came back to Bracknell, I thought, yeah, this would be good for him. He's dropped down a level, but he loves Bracknell Town, and the fans loved him. So I thought, what could go wrong? But obviously, it only lasted a week and a half, unfortunately.
Well, I watched Kane's little short video that he did after Bobby left, explaining that he made the wrong decision and all that stuff. Did you have any sort of insight or any sort of talks with players and that about what was going on?
No, I had no insight
during
whatsoever.
the short time?
I have no idea what happened there. All I can guess is maybe it's the type of manager that Kane wanted. I don't know, because Bobby and Jordan are two very different managers. Whereas Bobby's very shouty from the touchline, very passionate. Jordan is more sort of manager that he puts your arm around the players, and there's a lot of togetherness with Jordan. So I think maybe he's gone for a different type of manager. Maybe that's where it feels like he went wrong. I don't know. I wasn't really informed of that. I don't know what it was, but I'm just taking a guess that maybe it's just the type of manager. Bobby was maybe the manager he wanted, type of manager he wanted when he.
Obviously this has all come from sort of Kane returning, and all the sort of the stuff has happened since then. What do you? I don't know. I don't know Kane at all. I like Alan. I've only seen the stuff he's posted online, which, by the way, I think is really good. He's keeping fans informed on what's happening, and I think he's always been that way, and he's very good at the media side of things and making sure people, the fans, know what's going on in the club and stuff like that, and why he makes decisions. And what's he like as a person? 'Cause obviously you've had probably more dealings with him than most people have.
Yeah, very good. He's obviously very ambitious. He wants to get the club to the next level. I mean, a club of our size. I mean, the thing got a lot of people don't understand is they say that the club's not playing Bracknell, which is true. Obviously, I've no relation to the town of Bracknell itself, really. But the club is still growing. When they played at Largers Lane in the Bracknell Town Centre, they were getting gates of like 50 to 100, and now we're getting 400 to 550 on average. So we are growing. But yeah, the club's come from step 6, I think, 10 years ago to now step 3. Kane wants to get us to step 3 by next season, I'd imagine. And he really is pushing for even the National League, step 1. So, he's really ambitious. He's very passionate about what he does. There's lots of more work being done at the ground over the course of summer, more stands, more facilities, VIP section, that sort of thing. So it's very exciting. But yeah, he just is very ambitious. He's not your standard boring owner that doesn't have much ambition. He is really passionate. He wants to take the club to the next level. No matter, the thing is, to go to the next level and level above that, we've got to grow the fan base. But he still wants to do it. He wants to go to the next level. So if we can do that, I think the EFL is obviously not realistic. But I think he really is gunning for step 1 someday in the future. Whether that's 10, 15 years, I don't know. But yeah, very exciting.
I don't think you've certainly got the facilities. I think because I've been down to Bracknell quite a bit, and it's my local. I'm only a mile down the road, so I'll take my little boy down there. It's really nice for families and stuff to go down. You've got a nice bar at one end, and there's it's a really nice, proper, brand new 3G pitch, and which is used by Sandhurst as well. On the days that Bracknell aren't playing, and then it's a really nice facility. It was like £2 million or something in total investment.
Yeah, it's money.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really nice. So from that perspective, it's certainly good. And I remember it was packed out when you played Churro in the playoff final where they got beat 3-2.
That was a crazy game. We
Should
went
have won
down
that.
1-0 and 2-1. We kept
Yeah,
coming back, and they scored right at the death. That was
yeah,
heartbreaking.
yeah,
So close
yeah,
to see them. But the weird thing of that is, whilst I was heartbroken, and I would love to have played step two that following season, I don't think we was ready at that point because there's a lot of like, we were getting gates of about 300 that season. And I don't
Yeah.
think the infrastructure there at that time. Maybe we will now from next season, but yeah, it was gutting as a whole,
yeah.
really.
It is all about timing, isn't it? Because you look at Churo, they won that game, and it could have been Bracknell. It could have quite easily been Bracknell. Probably, in fact, I went to that match with a mate of mine, and not we could see much because it was absolutely rammed. But you had 1900 there for that, and you had I actually thought on the balance of play, Bracknell should have won the game.
Yeah,
And
great goal.
yeah, and and they should have gone up. But sometimes you have to take a step back to go forward again, don't you? Really. So maybe that was
Yeah,
maybe that
that's
was the
good.
time. And look at Chiro now; they just got promoted into the international league, haven't
I know, I wouldn't have thought that. But that squad we had, that playoff final was incredible. Dan Bayliss, obviously, he's now at Slough. With
they? Yep.
Gary Abersogan, Joe Grant. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of those key players,
Lodgy,
they
Lodgy
left.
midfield.
Yeah, there's
That's
so many key
Lodgy.
players.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go on to your playing squad because there's a good few players there that are still really good. Like Jordan Esprit is a really top player, even though he's been a bit of journeyman sort of this last sort of season, hasn't he? He's been around a few clubs.
Yeah.
Some of it work related. I think Michael Eckott in goal is one of the best goalkeepers
Oh, yeah,
outside the
yeah.
league.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think he's been, the thing for him this year, obviously, he's had a very leaky defence in front of him.
yeah,
He's tried his best, but there's been so many occasions where we could have lost, by 5 or 6 goals. He's kept the
yeah,
score a little bit more, better for us. But
yeah.
on
A bit more
Saturday, he made two
respectable. Yeah,
amazing saves on Saturday. But there's those sort of games where like we've been like the opposition all over us having shots, and we could have lost 6-7-0, but it's only been 1 or 2-0. So we've been quite lucky that he's been a
yeah.
goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, you got battered by Walton and Hersham, didn't you, the other week?
Oh,
They
that was
took
awful.
you to
Yeah,
pieces.
absolutely
Yeah,
awful. First off, it was level, even, I'd say. Even though
mm,
we was 1-0 down, we had so many opportunities. But then second half, we just collapsed. And it seemed to be that was the story of the whole second half of the season. It was always the second half we seemed to fall apart
mm.
most times. We just lacked fitness.
What is it you think? Because obviously you watch them week in, week out, like you say, and but what is it, in your opinion, that you put it down to that why your season has gone the way it has?
I just think there's a lack of a lot of fans have said there's a lack of fitness in there, and I think it's why a lack of passion. We just didn't seem like we wanted to play, and that's the issue. Like
Mm.
last year and last season with Jordan Ive and the squad we had, there was so much belief and passion. We went from being 8, 10 points off the playoffs to the last day closing the gap with Merthyr, and we made it. And that's because there was so much togetherness of the squad, and we played at Totton. We knew we was never going to beat Totton really on paper in that semi-final, but we took them to extra time, and we just narrowly lost 2-1. We had so much belief and passion that season and togetherness. It was heartbreaking the season was over because you knew you'd always lose 2 or 3 players. This is normal in football. But this season, I'd say from November or December, no, I'd say about December, January onwards, we just looked like there was no passion, and that was the problem with from the fans. The players didn't seem like they wanted to play for the shirt, and that was the issue. Look where we ended up, just stand up on goal difference. I think that just
Yeah,
says, oh, we just there was no passion at all. And I
yeah,
think we're going to have a big clear out this summer. We've lost, I think, yesterday we announced 10 players had left. Most of them were youngsters anyway, or players that were on the bench. But we lost some, first team players, and I think there'll be more to come because
yeah.
we
I
need
saw Tacky's left, didn't he? I saw that was a bit surprising.
Liam Tack,
Yeah,
Daryl Harrison. Glad about him, his great personality.
mm,
Hopefully, he goes somewhere good. But we're going to lose a lot of key players, which is sad. But I think we do need to lose some because we just need more new players that will be committed to the club and get us to the next level and will show some fight and passion. That's what we need.
yeah. I mean,
Do you think that Jordan? Sorry, Tom. Do you think that Jordan is the man to bring in the right caliber of player? Because knowing what he's done in the past for you, he obviously has an idea of what kind of player he wants to be in his squad.
Yeah, with Jordan, like I says, he builds a lot of togetherness in the squad.
Yeah.
He's fairly new to first team management, but he's done well. I mean, before Bracknell, we won the league title with Sandhurst to get him to step 5, and that was when they were playing games every other day with a grass pitch. So that was an amazing job he did there. And then the first stint with us, he got us to the playoffs, had a good start to last season before he departed. So he's got a very good record of, in management so far. But from what I understand, from what players have told me, he's very knowledgeable with tactics. And I mean, I'm hopeless with tactics and that sort. I've no knowledge on tactics and how it works and all that. But apparently, Jordan Ive is very, very good at that. He's very knowledgeable of the game. In terms of players that he's signed, they've all been pretty good, I'd say. I remember last season we had Great Evans, powerhouse forwards. Yeah, he brought in a lot of solid players at the start of the season and during the end of last season.
Yeah, I mean, my own personal opinion on it is, I think your season sort of started turning around when obviously Great Evans left and went to Farnham, which was a bit of a weird one, that, because I thought he's obviously gone down a level, maybe getting paid more. But I noticed he was still on your sort of contracted players list.
Yeah, I know. I don't fully understand non-league because I know there's not many contracts in non-league, but obviously sometimes they are technically still registered with you. It's like we had a player, Max Hemmings, when John Underwood first joined. We had him for 2 games, never saw him again, and all of a sudden he played last week for us because he was still registered to us apparently. But I don't know, it's the way non-league works. It's a bit weird, but
yeah, I mean sometimes they dual reg them, don't they, and they can go and play somewhere else. But I mean, great. I mean, Great Evans leaving was a bit of a surprising one, and then obviously because he was going to be a forward because the Spree had already gone by that point. I thought that's a bit
Evans as well. He was very passionate and he was such a likable person. I think that's what we missed. He was so missing that sort of player that was so passionate. I think that's what.
Yeah. And I think also when Haddon Vaughan got injured as well, that was a big loss. You had him on, you had him on loan from Aldershot. He was your former player, didn't you? Aldershot signed him in the summer.
Sandhurst, then moved to Bracknell, and now he's at Aldershot. His season ended quite badly, obviously, with the injury and
ACL injury, wasn't it? I think for his knee, wasn't it? Yeah, it's a shame. I think that's where the season sort of started going wrong for him. Unfortunately, we're losing those.
I'd say Basingstoke at home, New Year's Day, it went wrong from there because we just couldn't. There was no fight or passion from that point, I don't think.
Yeah, you're right. It was a shocking game, but obviously I think the conditions played a big role, didn't they? Because it was an awful weather, pouring with rain the whole game. I actually went down there to watch Jack Ball and Liam Ferdinand as they're playing for Basingstoke.
Yeah, I was just relieved we got an equaliser right at the end.
Yeah, and you know what? Annoying that I missed that. It was his own goal as well. Jack Ball own goal, wasn't it? I missed that because
that goal technically kept us up. You could look at that.
That's true. Yeah, you can thank Jack Ball for that. Yeah, he checks in the post check. I've actually got his shirt at home, a Farnborough shirt, when he had love for us. But anyway, I digress. I actually missed that goal because my little boy was complaining he was cold and wet and wanted to go home. So I left about 5 minutes before the end, and I heard the cheer as I was halfway around the wreck. So I was livid. But there we go. Another story.
What kind of gates are you getting? Even though obviously it's been a terrible season for you this season, but what kind of gates are you getting for your home games?
The gates have been on the up still, surprisingly, despite losing, games at home constantly, and even getting bad 4-0 at home to Hungerford 4-0 and losing against Walton Hersham 5-1 at home. Our gates this season have been probably about 400 to 500. They've been pretty good. They've gone up again, even though we're losing. So. Yeah. Hopefully it goes up next season and we can get to 500-600 on average.
Well, I saw you had 700 for the Walton game, didn't you?
Yeah, 700. Yeah, that's what I mean. Really you think people say the club's not in Bracknell anymore, but when the club was in Bracknell, they were getting about 100 when it was right in the middle of the team. And now in Sandhurst, somehow we're getting bloody 400 to 500-600.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see, despite the struggles, that the fans are still turning up for the home games. I don't know what
not as bad a situation as to get from Sandhurst to Bracknell to Sandhurst is about a 10-minute drive roughly. Basingstoke, when they're to go to Winchester for 2 seasons, that's a 25-30-minute drive from there. So it's not quite as bad as what other clubs go through. But yeah, obviously, I think one day the club hopefully will go back to Bracknell, but there is no plan at the moment, from what I understand, unless obviously somebody comes in or somebody in the town of Bracknell says, right, you've got some land here, you can build here. But apart from that, there's no plans at the moment.
Yeah, it's largest lane's out, isn't it?
Yeah, largest lane's never going to happen because it was just there's not enough space there. I remember Kane said in many interviews that the FA told him step 4 was the max you could ever play at largest lane. Because I remember seeing photos behind the goal, it was like so tight, there was no room to move at all. I've been at the site since it was dug up and rebuilt or whatever, and it is very small. There's not much land there at all really for another big ground.
Yeah, you could have a 5-a-side team, maybe Bracknell 5-a-side. That might be.
Yeah, so it isn't it of having largest lane, but no, it's not going to happen. Largest lane is gone. And you hope the club can, if the club ever does go back to Bracknell, it wouldn't be largest lane; it'd be somewhere else, another plot of land or something.
Well, I think the fact that a lot of money has been spent on where you are currently, it kind of suggests that you're going to be there for a little bit,
The thing is, there's
little
room
while.
there. If you look at, I mean, I'm lucky I can park where the players park, and there's so much room around the land that you can extend it. So it can become a big ground as long as the local council, or whatever, are happy for
Mm.
the ground to be expanded. But it's got a lot of potential to grow there.
Yeah, you did right because it's I've lived in Sandhurst all my life, and it's it is there is room to grow there. It's an old marshland at the back there, and it used to be just a nothing place, didn't they? They obviously filled it all in and built the ground on top of it, and it's there is plenty of room. It's the railway track runs at the back, but there's a good load of space behind it and all that. So there is some room to grow, which I think was Kane's sort of idea, wasn't it? I think we're going there, get room to grow. We'll start off here, and then we'll expand it when we need to, which I think is correct, really. But
I think they've got signed an agreement that the club can stay in Sandhurst for at least 30 years, is what I think I read last year.
Yeah.
So we've got, we're guaranteed to be there for the next 30 years. But who knows, one day in the future, maybe we'll be back in Bracknell. But until some sort of development happens, then we're going to be in Sandhurst for quite some time.
Yeah. Well, the way the season's going, you'll be back down in the Isthmian League by then, won't you? So we might not need it.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, Joe. I've got to get one job in. Just one.
I'll take a bit of banter. That's fine.
Yeah, good stuff.
So the club obviously want to, like you said earlier, you want to try and grow the fan base a bit more, and obviously help to get more fans in to help push the club on next season and for future seasons. Where are you involved in that kind of thing? Because you said earlier that you're gonna be sort of part of the social media sort of team side of things. Are you going to be doing more vlogs in and around the ground, the games and stuff like that for the next few seasons?
Yeah, I'm still going to be carrying on the vlogs, definitely. I mean, what I'd be happy with social media wise would be very little. It'd just be those midweek filler posts on Twitter. That's all I'm going to be doing, really. But I like to think the vlogs are helping because I've had many people come up to me that are ground hoppers and they said, right, once I came here today because they've been watching my vlogs and they wanted to check Bracknell's, Sandhurst ground out and just taking a game. And the funny thing for me is before I got into non-league, well, once I got into non-league the first time, I had no idea of the players' names from a lot of the opposition teams. But what's weird for me is I had people come up to me saying, "Oh, through watching your videos, I know your squad list by heart, but you're the players by name." Yeah. So it's quite good that people are coming to Bracknell to taking a game from my vlogs, or they just know about the players' names because they've been watching my vlogs. It's been crazy, but yeah, I think the vlogs do help with getting ground hoppers interested in visiting Bottom Meadow, and yeah, I just hope that obviously the club can grow, naturally as well, Bottom Meadow, and we can get the gate. So I believe that we should be letting in a lot of people for free, offering free tickets to people in the community and stuff. I think that's a good idea. Farnham do it, so why can't we? I think it's an easy way of growing the fan base because I remember Harry Hugo, the chairman at Farnham, said that if you let people in for free, they'll still spend that money elsewhere in the ground, whether it be food or drink.
Exactly. Yeah. We do it at Farnborough as well. The club does it. They give away free tickets to certain schools. They have the school of the week, and they give free tickets away to
give away
families of those schools,
workplaces, whatever. Just just so they can get experience if they like it, and they'll come back, and that's fine. That's great. We've got a new fan.
At the end of the day, that's all our clubs are. At the end of the day, we're community clubs, and we rely on that community to keep the clubs going. Basically,
yeah,
that's where the money comes from.
Yeah. And that's like I said, that's the key thing. They're letting them in for free, but they're bound to spend money elsewhere in the ground anyway. It's not really
No, exactly. Yeah, they'll be buying food, drinks, and what have you, shirts, scarves, whatever. Do you know what I mean? They'll spend that money. No worries. The club hasn't got any worries about that.
Having sampled the burgers at and most of the hot food at Bracknell over the course of the season, I can vouch for it's pretty good. So
I think it's improved greatly. I remember when I started going to Bracknell, the food was just average. There's nothing mind blowing. I mean, the menu's pretty standard: cheeseburger, chips. There's nothing. There's been no unique items on there as such, apart from the one that I invented. That was at the Basingstoke game. But the taste of it and stuff is pretty decent, I'd say, compared to a lot of non-league grounds I've been to. So especially the cheeseburgers, the way they grill the bun or whatever, it's quite nice. So
it's all the grease, Matty. It's all the grease. More grease, the better.
So you got Simon salivating now.
Yeah, I've just had a burger. I'm hungry again. I need to go and have something. No, have something else. Well, I've got to get myself in training though for the Saturday's game, so I can't do that.
You touched on a little bit earlier about a bit of ground hopping. You do a little bit of ground hopping when Bracknell aren't playing or they're away from home. Is that ground hopping something that you enjoy doing as well? And where have you been?
I've been to quite a few places. I don't tend to go more than say 2.5 hours away,
Mm,
because I just don't like driving too far really. But I've been to Tonbridge, obviously Farnborough, Fleet, Alton. I've been to a lot of local ones. I want to go to Aldershot, Woking at some point. And eventually, once I've completed the more local ones I've not been to, I'll sort of branch out a little bit further. I would love to go to
mm.
some Northern Premier League games, the third tier up there at some point, like Halesoe and teams like that. So yeah, there's a
Make a
lot.
weekend out of that, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I've done a lot of ground hopping, but I like to revisit a lot as well. I went to Bognor this year. I loved going to Bognor Regis. That was a great atmosphere, and I went there. They lost, but the atmosphere. I thought Bognor Regis and Tonbridge Angels will stick out to me as two of the best atmospheres I've experienced ground hopping. I really liked going to those two places.
Yeah, Tonbridge are obviously in our league. They've got a not really nice ground as well, a nice pitch and free proper new 4G pitch there. I think
Yeah,
at Tonbridge.
yeah, and of course I went to
Yeah,
your game against Tonbridge I think it was last season.
yeah,
And I stood with their fans purely because I get on well with one there. They got a vlogger as well at Tonbridge. So I stood with him, and their fans are just brilliant and mental. They don't stop singing.
Yeah.
I was meant to get to Farnborough this season, but I never made it in the end. And I
well,
went,
you missed out, mate. You missed out. Especially our last two away games. You should have gone down to Havant on Bank Holiday Monday. I love that one.
yeah,
Yeah.
I saw the
No, I
8-2
haven't.
one.
No, I said haven't. It's a slip of the tongue. I mean, Hampton. Yeah, 8-2. That would have been all right. But I was going to ask you actually. Yeah, Alan made a good point about so you ground hopping a bit. So you I wanted to ask your opinion really on something that we've mentioned. You obviously went to or tried to go to the one of the older shot matches that got cancelled right
Oh yeah, I
late,
did.
didn't you? I saw that. We've got certain opinions about it and things like that. But what was your opinion about postponing matches and when should there be a cut off time and should they?
Just
Sort
the
of
gates
my
open.
personal,
Yeah, cut off time. Yeah, it was
yeah,
ridiculous. My light's messing up here. What is it? Yeah, so I bought the tickets. I think it was like 10 a.m. in the morning or so. I said to Gemma, right, Bracknell's not playing. Plymouth away got called off. Plymouth Parkway. So I said to her, oh, for ages I wanted to go to Aldershot and experience the atmosphere there in the main stand they got. We bought the tickets, got there. I was all excited. I was recording the intro while walking, and I get to the ground, and literally a fan was told there and then that the game had been called off by the ref. And this was like, I mean, I get to games fairly early. I get there about 1 1/4 past 1, but it just seemed like so late. And the
Mm.
thing was, the club shared a photo saying the game was definitely going ahead that morning.
mm,
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah.
The pitch looked good, and for whatever reason, there was a corner of the ground we didn't see in that photo. The pitch looked waterlogged, so the ref called it off there and then. But
yeah,
the poor Solihull fans travelled what 2 hours or just under 2 hours to get there.
yeah.
They were covering
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head there. Right, this is my point. I mean, I think that unless there's a sort of biblical amount of rain between the time that you get your cut off time and then the weather then the game starts. You have to think of the fans. I really do think that fans are shortchanged in that regard because they just get thought of last. And there was no fault of any of the Solihull fans travelling down from bloody Birmingham to go to the game. And they were all there. You know what I mean? And then and it got called off last minute. And they got to traipse back home again. No chance of a refund. Nothing like that. It's unbelievable. I just think that a lot of fans get shortchanged these days. I mean, and brings me on to another point really about the FA Cup this weekend. We'll sort of touch on it briefly. I was listening. I had a long journey up here to Nottingham last night. And there was a lady rang in 5 Live to speak to Chris Sutton and that, and she said she spent 250 quid on her tickets being a Forest fan,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
and she just said it's mental the games being at Wembley, and they just don't think of the fans. They don't care. And they had the Palace Villa game on Saturday when you can get a train, and then they put Nottingham Forest City on a Sunday when there's transport's rubbish anywhere on a Sunday, and then everyone's up the M. I can vouch for it. The M1 was absolutely shocking last night. All the fans coming back, all going the same way as me, unfortunately, and every service station was jammed with people. They're all football fans, all of them, all the shirts on. And I just think fans get thought of last, and I don't think it's a very good look for the game currently.
But touching back on the postponements, I don't think it should be a specific cut-off time. I think it should just be common sense. Like,
Yeah.
say you got Truro versus Carlisle, then you've got to look at that. I don't know, the next season, you got to look at that maybe a day before and just realistically think, right, is this
Yeah, I was
going
going to. I was going to say
That is a
today.
point. That's a great point. That is
I
a
was
trick
going
and a
to
half.
say
That.
Carlisle.
if you've got Basingstoke versus Bracknell, then yeah, you could leave it quite late, couldn't you?
Yeah,
But I think it's got to use
Carlisle.
common sense to think of the distances between the two sides.
Yeah, Carlisle. There was a thing. There was a thing on Twitter this afternoon. Carlisle's round trip was like down to Truro, it's like 12 hours or something like that. So you literally, like you're right, man. You did in those kind of games. If that's in the depths of winter, you have literally got to look at that on a Thursday or a Friday and think, you know,
No,
what, is this game going to go ahead?
I'll be calling it off the weekend before.
Well, going mentioning the Aldershot game, and I said that we was meant to be playing at Plymouth Parkway away. That got called off very early. That's a good.
Yeah.
That was a good situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plymouth Parkway was what 3 hour drive for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was in the media chat, and Plymouth had called it off. I think it was like 6 or 7 in the morning or something.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, I remember this. This is exactly my point because
it was like 7 or 8. No,
Yeah.
it was 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that was like it was 7 hours to spare. So that was great. That meant I could get to another game instead.
Yeah, exactly. This is how it should be. This conversation me and Anna had on the day because I saw your video as you were walking in, and then he said, "Oh,
Yeah.
game's been called off." And I said, "Look, bloody Plymouth called it off at 9 o'clock in the morning because they knew the Bracknell fans were going to have to leave, and that's what it should be. They should look at it and think, hold on a minute, we've got fans coming from all over the place here. We need to have a look at it maybe Friday night, and make a decision. You know what I mean? And make a decision.
In the end, I think the pitch at Plymouth was deemed just about playable, but they decided just to announce it there and then not risk it, which I'd rather they do, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's the right thing to do. Yeah, I mean, there'll be fans saying, "Oh, well, if it's on, you know what I mean, you should play it. You got to leave it. You got to give it every chance and all that sort of stuff." But not when you got fans travelling 6 hours to get to a game. It's
No.
madness.
And also, these clubs need to think about their own facilities and their own pitch as well. By cancelling a game for a little bit of waterlogging, protects the pitch for future months.
Yep.
So it means that in the summertime, that the pitch is better in a better condition to play on than if it played through all the rain and wet weather and boggy pitches. It doesn't do the pitch any good. But you're right. They did the right thing there. But Aldershot in that particular game, to have fans turning up at 1, 1:15, 1:30, and then cancelling it's just not right. It wasn't on. And like Simon said, we were talking about it, and we weren't happy with it, and we're not even fans of them. So
yeah,
but yeah.
Obviously, we like to say, put it on record, we're not having to go Aldershot here just because they're the local rivals and it's easy to have a pop. It's none of that going on.
Not from you, maybe.
But there is
the Aldershot fan that you are.
And also we also probably like to say that from the benefit of Aldershot, it was probably the referee that made the final call in it.
Like the referee that makes the call.
Like, I mean, probably, and thinking about it off the top of my head, a worse example of a postponement at a late date was probably the Hampton and Richmond Dorking match when that pitch looked absolutely fine to play on, and the ref called it off with about 10 minutes to go. And there was fans already in the crowd going. The announcer was giving the team out and everything, and he called it off. And Mark White went ballistic, didn't he?
I went to Gosport. I think it was in January time on a Wednesday night, and I got there as the players were sort of like inspecting the pitch, and I was thinking, why is everyone looking down for? And I looked, and one of the floodlights wasn't working. And they called it off. And the funny thing was, it was called off the first time because of the FA Cup. So both, I think, Gosport advanced, so that had to get postponed on the Saturday. So it was moved to a Wednesday. I get there, a floodlight wasn't working. It took ages for them to try and get it to work. They decided with about half an hour to kick off to call the game off. The next time it was on was another Wednesday, but I didn't go in the end because it was snowing heavily. But again, floodlight issues. Like, why didn't they check that earlier in the day or something? I don't understand it. Like, one light wasn't working. Both managers were debating, is it safe? Is it not safe? The referee thinking, is it safe? Not safe. But then whoever has got the keys to the ground or whatever, sure they should have tested that hours before. Say, right, the floodlights work. Oh no, they don't. One light's not working. So maybe we should think about postponing it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. It doesn't make you. There seems to be a lot of people involved in football that are very kind of. I'm trying to choose my words very carefully here. They're a bit pompous and pedantic, shall we say? Yeah. And also they're more worried about the red tape than actually people. And at the end of the day, football's a people game, and it's about people and people getting involved in communities.
Surely someone somewhere's got to say, right, let's make sure the floodlights work. I don't understand that.
Yeah, and when we'll get it, there is, there's health and safety aspects, etc., that that you have to take into account. But yeah, like Matt said, it is right. I mean, surely you test them, and I mean, sometimes bulbs go all the time. It might have been an occasion where the bulb just went at that time, but it's
Yeah.
unlikely. It probably
Yeah.
wouldn't work, and they thought they might get away with it, and they didn't.
Yeah.
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 Certainly the bulbs around my house do. As soon as I put them in, they seem to blow up. I don't know what's going on there, but it's probably helpful I put the right bulb in. That might be helpful. But I know, and I know it's the thing with a lot of clubs. It's expensive to replace those floodlights the way they are in the old ground,
Yeah.
because they normally wait for 3 or 4 to go at the same time and get the old lecky in to sort all 4 of them out. So he hasn't got any. You got to get one.
That was the same night that Pompey and Millwall got called off just down the road. They're an actual power.
Oh, does it?
Yeah,
Yeah, the power cut. Yeah.
I remember back in the day when Wimbledon were playing at Selhurst Park, and I was travelling away at Chelsea, and the floodlights went out, and we all sort of singing "Shitty ground, shitty ground, shitty." It was out for about 10 minutes. Honestly, it was like pitch black. Couldn't see a bloody thing. 1 minute the players were there, the next minute it all disappeared. So yes, and they came on about 50. It was about 15-20 minutes. It was later when we got it going. We still drew 0-0. It was terrible. Yeah, awful. I wish they hadn't come back on. To be honest with you. Yeah.
Right, Matt. Before we let you go, Matt, you said to me on the Twitter messaging that you couldn't do a couple of days this week because you're going to some playoff games. So who are you going to go watch this week?
Wednesday, I'm going to go to Walton Hersham versus Gloucester. It's been weird because the last 3 years I've been involved in my team playing in the playoffs, and this is the first time that I get to go to neutral. So it's quite nice that I don't get the stress of my heart racing, thinking about if you're scores. It's quite nice that I haven't got to worry about that this year. So yeah, I'm going to go to Walton Hersham Wednesday. Regardless of who wins that, I'll be at the playoff final on Bank Holiday Monday. I'm hoping it'll be a Tottenham Walton final. That'd be pretty good.
Who's your fancy? Who do you think will go up?
I think Walton's going to win it. I think that if you watch them, they're such a good. I mean, oh yeah, Farnborough, you lost to Walton, didn't you? I went to.
Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't mention that.
Yeah, and you know what? Every time I've watched Walton, they're such a fast, confident attacking side. They're really good to watch. I just can't see how they can't win it. Tottenham have got a lot of money and good players, sure, but I just can't see Walton not winning it. But yeah, I'd like to see a Tottenham Walton final. I think Walton would win it, and I'd like Walton to win it as a slight underdog, but I think they deserve it. But I'll also be at probably the Isthmian South Central playoff final as well on the Sunday, the day before that.
If people don't know, who's involved in those games?
The Isthmian South Central, I think you've got Uxbridge,
Kingston,
Ascot.
Farnborough legends, CJ Fern.
Yeah, Ascot, and I can't remember the fourth one. Uxbridge, Ascot, Kingstonian, and I've forgotten the other one now. Oh, Hanworth Villa.
Yeah.
As well.
Oh, okay.
And then after that week, I don't know if there'll be any Step 5 playoff finals later in the year. Later on in the month. I don't know. But there's at least 3 more games for me to go to anyway.
Well, by the sounds of it, you might be able to go to a game sort of just before next season if they ever sort out the mess that's going on in some of the leagues.
When's the Vanarama South playoff games then? What
roughly? Same days as yours. We got Bournemouth versus Dorking, which was a bit of a box office game. That's on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And the other game is East. No, it's not Eastbourne. It's you got me. I put you on the spot now, but I can't remember. I went through all this earlier and I can't really remember. It'll be Maidstone will be away to is Eastbourne? Did they not come third? Who came fourth?
So it'd be Worthing versus Maidstone and Bournemouth versus Bournemouth versus Dorking.
Worthing
will play for the semi-final again, which will be Torquay and Eastbourne Borough will be in the 2 semi-finals.
I don't get why all the playoff semi-finals are Wednesday nights. Why can't they all just spread them out a little bit? I'd love to go.
Yeah, I know they should do. They should try and spread them out across May so they can get them all in. And
I'd love to do like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or something. But obviously, the one that suits our sort of league.
Yeah. It's a tough route trying to go up from our league because in the south because it's you got to play. You go in the playoff if you come 7th, for example, like Maidstone have done, who we played at the weekend. They've got to play away 3 times, so they've got to play Worthing, then they've got to play the winners of. They'll either have they'll end up with the best place.
I imagine. If Maidstone win that, I imagine they'll have Eastbourne because it'll be the lowest. Torquay will be obviously the highest ranked team.
Who would you say is going to win that playoffs this year?
Oh,
do you know
mate,
what?
I don't.
I've got,
You know
I've got a
what?
funny feeling Dorking will go up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love him to go back. I love Mark White.
You know what? Yeah, I say, yeah, we spoke to him quite a lot. He's a great guy, really good fun. But
Love him.
they've had the issue all season. The reason why they're down where they are is they had a lot of injuries at the start of the season, which scuppered them a bit. And I think also Mark White was a little bit too bolshy about winning the leagues. He said he was going to win it by about 20 points and all that sort of stuff. Start of the season.
I just love Mark White. When
Yeah.
when I first went there, they beat Notts County 2-1.
Yeah.
3-1, I can't remember. It was amazing. It was a great video. And the next time I saw him, I said to him, "Oh, did you watch my video by any chance?" Like, didn't explain who I was or anything. And he was like, "Of course I fucking did." And he put his arm around me.
He's brilliant.
I love him.
He's
I just
brilliant.
love Mark
Yeah.
White.
But the issue with Dorking all season, they've had trouble at home because their pitch isn't the best, and it doesn't suit the way they play. They're sort of get the ball down and pass it sort of team, and they've got a lot of technical players. So playing away from home, I think will actually suit them. And they've already went down to Bournemouth and they beat them away already this season. So I've got a sneaky feeling they might get in. Plus they've got the squad to do it as well. They've got the squad to mix and match, and he's been sort of. They knew they weren't going to win the league, and he's been chopping and changing with certain players for the last few weeks. So I reckon they'll go in fresher than most. I think they could win it. But they're going to be it's going to be tough for them.
For me, it's either I think Dorking or maybe Eastbourne will do it. I think
Eastbourne, yeah, I'm not sure.
Eastbourne have been really good this year. They've played really well. But for me, I would pick Dorking over them because I think Dorking have been the only team this season that have really impressed me.
Yeah, they were good. They were good in both games actually, weren't they? I mean, we got a really good draw with them down at their place, and it was a really good match.
Yeah.
But they battered us for the first 20 minutes. It was honestly, I said to you, didn't I? I said after they scored after like 10 seconds, and then then they scored a second one after about 13. And I said to you, it's going to fucking cricket score this. And I was almost ready to go to the bar and just sit in there and watch the cricket. I decided that
the good thing about that game was because obviously we did really well to come back into it. But after watching the episode on Bunch of Amateurs of that game, it was quite funny seeing him and the coaching staff trying and failing quite miserably to figure out how we were playing. And the one thing that really confused them, especially Mark, was the fact that Reggie Young was playing at left back. Yeah. And it just confused them.
Yeah, Spencer absolutely. Spencer done an absolute job on him, didn't he? He did an absolute job on him. Yeah. It was only half time. They changed it all around, and they brought Alfie Pavey on, who we had on loan, and they played two up top, played a diamond. He just couldn't fathom it. He told Will Folksy, the goalkeeper, just to go down injured because he needed like 5 minutes to try and work out what he'd done. He still couldn't put his finger on it. He said, I don't know what he's done. What's he done there? What's he done there? He's saying. I remember he's saying.
I think we were quite unlucky to not come away with a win. I think.
Yeah, we should have won the game really, but it wouldn't have mattered to us our season anyway. And it might have ended up being
we ended up 9th instead of 10th.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's an extra £500 prize money. Never mind. So, so there we go.
Right. Anyway, Matt, we've rambled on there. Listen, we're gonna end it there. But are you going to be doing any blogs for these games that you're going to?
Oh yeah, of course it will be. Yeah, I'll be doing all the ones I go to over the next week or so. I'll be vlogging all of them. So I'm excited to hopefully be involved in some good atmospheres and hopefully some good games that I always am every year.
Yeah. What's your handles? What's your handles?
Yeah, I was going to say for those that don't know, who probably should know by now, but tell everybody who your handle on YouTube and Twitter and where they can find you.
Just search for Mattitude on YouTube. You see all the vlogs on there. You see my face on the thumbnails, and also on TikTok. I think it's at Mattitude29, something like that. I post on there. Yes, mainly YouTube and Twitter. TikTok I post on. I'm also on Twitter as well at Mattitude_29. But yeah, YouTube and Twitter, the main platforms I use.
Happy days. Cool. Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on it and as well. So yeah, good. Good luck in the pre-season. Trying to get too bored watching cricket or whatever.
I hate cricket. Don't talk to me about fucking cricket. I hate it.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Matt. I'm with you there.
Terrible, mate.
Right, don't go away, Matt, because we'll have a little chat when we finish, when we come off.
That's right.
But as you say, this episode was sponsored by Tritech Consulting, taking your business visions and turning them into innovative reality. For more information, visit tritechconsulting.co.uk. Simon, say good night.
Yeah, just thank you very much for listening. Thanks, Matt, for coming on. It's been good speaking to you. And also, just a quick one, thank you to Matt Rose, Tritech's owner and CEO, for sponsoring us throughout the season. Much appreciated. Hope we can continue it into next year as well, and the many years to come. Thank you. Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening. Thank you.
That guy, thanks for listening to everybody just listening and watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back next week, hopefully, with maybe our final one of the season. Good night, everybody.